Welcome, everyone. Dr. Anthony Criniti IV here, also known as Dr. Finance. I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is just a quick video. I've been getting a lot of inquiries and questions over the past few weeks to probably actually past couple months. And a lot of people are trying to figure out what I'm doing with the Clubhouse app. And this video really is just to let everyone know about what has been going on. So I actually retired from Clubhouse. I left Clubhouse about, I say, a month and a half ago, maybe a month ago. And I've been really just waiting patiently to see what was going to happen with the app before I figured out what to tell you guys. I wasn't really sure. I didn't know if I was staying or if I was going. I wanted to see how it would play out. So this video is really about everything I've been doing the past month, the future of the master classes that I've held for Fridays for 2.5 years. So this video may not apply to everyone that's listening. I know I have a different social media audience, different social media audiences from all over. So if you guys were part of the Clubhouse group, you may want to listen to the rest of this. So I want to thank everyone. Basically, what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about the history of the Clubhouse room, history of the Clubhouse app as much as I know about it. And then really the events that led to where I'm at and where I'm going with with my Friday events going this point forward. Okay. So I want to thank everyone again for being here. Many of you folks may know me from Clubhouse. Maybe you know me from my books. I'm not sure where you originally heard of me from, but so I want to talk a little bit about Clubhouse, the history of it, how I got there, and how things really changed my life. And I'm really happy that those events happened, but I want to just step back to really get to present with you guys. So the app, as far as I know, was started right before COVID, or around COVID, I guess, around 2020, something like that. And I don't know the exact months or at that point. I really came into the scene. It was February, I believe it was February 2nd or February 3rd of 2021. So Sharon Lecter, my mentor, co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, had recommended that I come on the app. She said, if you want to get into speaking, I was a university professor for about 10 years. And was going through a transition there, building my brand. And she said, get on Clubhouse. You can practice speaking, and there's like virtual stages. This is at a time when no one was really going anywhere. They were stuck in their house. So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And normally I wouldn't have said, yeah, I had a lot of things going on at that point. But because it was Sharon, I'm like, let's give it a try. And it was like the best thing that could have happened. I came on at the right time. A lot of celebrities were on there. I was like on stages for about 2-3 months, just listening, like really kind of in the audience, actually, just more or less in the audience, just observing, watching all kinds of celebrities. Like, for example, Shark Tank celebrities were on there, and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Oprah, and getting to watch a lot of these folks just come on and just say things I never heard on TV or any other media before. And I was like, I was hooked right there. I was like, this is different. I got to stay here. So about 2-3 months of listening, I finally started to get up and speak, and little by little, next thing you know, April 30th, 2021. So I was in another club, and the owners of the club had given me a lot of leeway and speaking on the stage. And one Friday, I was in there, and I tried it on my own. I tried to open up my own club. They were allowing you to do that at the time, and it didn't work out, actually. I actually sat there for 2 hours. Not even one person came on stage. In and out, in and out. So Clubhouse, again, it's like it's a virtual stage. All these different rooms, it's stages, you can call them, or rooms. And you go in there, and there's people in the audience, there's people on the stage. And most of the time before that, I was in the audience, but now I'm getting on the actual stage, and you can talk. If you're in the audience, you can't speak, right? So I would go on to the stage, and I had a few hours to kick. I was in this other club because, sorry, I got distracted. I had my own room one time outside without any other clubs. It was coming out of my own club, and it wasn't that good. It was really, really hard to get people in the room. Like there's no way to do this without leverage. So I turned to a bigger club and try to get on stage there, and they allowed me. So fast forward April 30th, I had a few hours to kick, 2021. there was 12 people in a room in this particular club, and the moderator was actually just tired. She was talking for, I guess, about an hour or two, and the room was open for a few hours already. So I said, hey, you mind if I take over? And I became what was called a host of that room, 12 people in there. And I just, just started letting people up the stage, just chatting, asking them. There was a Q&A format. And how are you? You have any questions for anybody on stage? And a few hours later, I mean, we built this thing to over 500 people in the room at that moment, which meant a total count of probably 10,000 people over the course of, I was there 10 hours on stage, had several celebrities come on. It was such a big deal at that point. There was a lot of momentum built that the owners of the club and everyone in the community, the next day after I went to bed, I woke up, the room was still running. They still had hundreds of people in the room. And they're like, we're going for the record. They made the longest running room in Clubhouse. And at that point, I'm like, all right, well, we got to do something. If we're going to break the record for this, we got to keep this going. So the room, in short, went for 84 days straight. Over my latest guesstimates, over 2 million people went through that room. And I just started coming on every Friday. I would bring a guest. Well, actually, in the beginning, I brought guests like several times a week. But the first one, I think, was Laurel Langmeyer, celebrity from The Secret. And then we just, every Friday for about 2.5 years, I just brought different guests, and a lot of connections were made. And it was just a beautiful thing. We created a great community. It was still to this day, I have so many friends that, reach out to, and we're talking and planning moves and things like that. It's just a great networking experience. And unfortunately, the problem with Clubhouse over the past couple of years has started declining for different reasons. A lot of toxicity entered the platform. But I always try to keep a positive room. No matter what, I always try to keep it positive. I ran my room every Friday from about 7 to 9 p.m. The main guest speaker would come on. That's Eastern time. I started usually around 6:30. I was a little late, but about a half hour before the guest speaker came on, and we'll go for anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours. Actually, many times in the beginning, it was like 7 or 8 hours. But in the end, it started being around 4 or 5 hours. And this went on for 2.5 years. So a lot of people left already. A lot of influencers had already left. I just kept going. It was a great thing. I mean, we were helping a lot of people. And then about March this year, this is in 2023, and they had made some major changes. They moved from clubs to these things called houses. And I'm still a big fan of Clubhouse. I still am. It was a great platform. But at that time, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a lot of juggling for me as a host. I'll figure out a way to make this transition. And we did. But although we did our best, many people got upset about the transition. They didn't like these house things. So an average room, I would have probably 1,000 to 2,000 or 3,000 people in a room every Friday, total count. Now we're talking about, it started at 900, and then it went down to 700 and 600. And my co-host, Diamond Diva, a shout out to her, who helped me out for about 2 years, every single Friday. Same thing was happening in her room that she ran every Wednesday. And I'm seeing it across the board with all kinds of rooms that were left. Major hosts were also declining numbers. So at a certain point, though, throughout the summer, it got to the point where it was like 250 people, 150 people. And then I think it was early September this year, they made a major change, and it was like the knockout punch as far as I'm concerned. They basically did a few major things that really changed the dynamics of the app. One, they took away everyone's followers. For me, that wasn't a big deal. I only had probably 13.2 thousand followers, and then you had all the Clubhouse groups and clubs that I had. I probably had about 10 plus. So that was like maybe 50 to 100,000 people. But I never really cared too much about the followers. But there were people who sat on the app and spent so much time building it, hundreds of thousands of followers. It all went down to like whatever your friend number was. So that was a big hit for many people. That didn't bother me so much. Actually, it didn't really bother me at all. What bothered me was the event, the stage. The stage is now really irrelevant. It was kind of like a phone call that went on for infinity. And that's the current status of us right now. The current state is basically that's where they're heading with that, where it's you leave a message, and I still don't really fully understand it, but I can't do my job as a host to the best of my abilities at that point. That's when I realized I can't do it. So about a month ago, I stopped doing the rooms every Friday. Just wanted to wait it out, see where they were going, and I'm official at this point. So the only way I would ever come back to Clubhouse is if like Google or YouTube, part of Google, or Meta or Twitter bought them out, and it was just a completely different app. I don't want this to sound negative, though. Okay, so I want to step back. I'm very grateful for my experience. It was just time for me to go. I can't serve, and that's why I'm there. I can't serve to the best of my abilities, so I have to go where I can utilize my skill sets best. So with that said, folks, I want to just tell you the story, tell you what I've been doing. I've been building up a lot of things in the background in the meantime, particularly on YouTube. I'm doing a lot of stuff on there. So most likely that will be my next major priority. I have a huge following on Facebook where I can do some lives on there. So I'm debating whether to do one or the other or both. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep you posted on that. But again, just to summarize and I know this sounds like a rant, but I've been building this up, and I just want to tell you guys the truth about it, and keep the community informed so you guys are understand what the next steps are. And I love to have everyone be included in it. Okay. So really the toxicity that was happening on the app, and I stay focused in my lane. I stay in the positive lane, but there was just too much to the point where it was spilling over in my rooms. A lot of folks were coming over. They were upset about all the stuff that was happening in the other rooms. And it just created this wrong wave of energy. That's not why I was there. So in addition to that, of course, again, the tools of the stages were not to our advantage. The hallways were not set up right. They couldn't even find the rooms, which was a major issue. So one of the other things that really was the knockout punch was after 2.5 years, I just thought there was a better way eventually coming for creators, hosts of rooms, to be able to monetize. Folks, I was a finance professor for 10 years. My whole life was really spent about finance. My first book, published over 10 years ago, was The Necessity of Finance. Okay, The Necessity of Finance. And in that book, I talked about, I don't care if you're a club, a group of any size, individual, even as large as a country or even the world, right? If you are managing wealth, you've got to be on the trend of making wealth, maximizing wealth. And that applies to clubs too. If creators of these clubs are not monetizing, if they're not finding a way to make a full-time living or even to pay the bills, some baseline with hope attached to it, then eventually, as what happened, most, if not all, of the major influencers have left the app at that time. And it doesn't, and I'm not picking on Clubhouse. Like I said, I'm very grateful for the experiences, but and this is a lesson for humanity for any kind of social media platform. If you want to have creators to thrive, you got to find a way to ensure that so they can stay and be successful. And I think that's one of the really successful features of YouTube and Facebook, and particularly YouTube. They do take care of their creators, and that's very important, folks. And this is a lesson here. So most of the top thought leaders, the influencers, they can't sustain themselves unless they can make money and find ways to better manage money to feed themselves and their family. All right. So with that said, this was a financial decision. I never made any money from these stages. There was plenty of people that I connected on stages that made millions, like just changed lives, and I loved it. I had joy in that. But to sustain a living on there, it's not doable for anyone, as far as I'm concerned. So, folks, really, I really appreciate you listening to my rant here, but I think this was overdue. Just so you know where I'm coming from, and there's going to be a lot of really positive things I've been building in the background. So just stay tuned. There's a lot of events in personal events that I'm going to be attending to make some connections. I'm keeping the podcast thing going. I even postponed that for about 2 months, just so that I can transition properly. It's a huge transition, folks. Imagine after 2.5 years. I mean, I put a lot of time into those stages, a lot of time into the podcast. So number one, I had to prioritize my life. The reason I did everything I did was is to educate the world about financial literacy. It's very, very important. We have a situation out there where there's so many folks that don't understand how important finance is. So speaking and hosting and all this other stuff, most people that got to know me on Clubhouse, they didn't see the real reason why I'm there. I had a lot of fun though. I brought a lot of speakers when I learned from them as a scientist. I asked questions to help educate everyone about whatever the specific topic was. But the reality is, folks, at a certain point, I got to get back to why I'm on the train in the first place, and that's to serve people, to educate them on money. So stay tuned, folks. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about money now. This is the opportunity for me to really expand on that, and also to build on a lot of the other related topics that we talked about. We talked about self-education is so important. That's how I kind of really clung to the self-development movement, and all the folks that I interviewed and became close with, they were in this movement, and I feel really connected to them and appreciate that, because what they're doing is so important. It starts with the individual, and self-education is extremely important. So you're probably watching this as a result of self-education. You're on some kind of social media platform right now watching this, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, and you're watching this to learn about something, and you just stumbled here, or maybe you were just specifically targeting this, but it starts with learning. And I'm going to what I focus on is learning about how to manage money and wealth. Okay, so stay tuned, folks. I got a lot of great videos coming that will help you to learn about that. But I'm getting back on the podcast train too. We're going to continue. I really like that. We're going to continue to have the podcast going. I'm going to interview a lot of mega superstars and maybe even some folks that are not typically in the limelight, but have some great information to share. So stay tuned with that, folks. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate everybody for listening. Yeah, so folks, in conclusion, I left Clubhouse about a month ago. I don't expect myself to even go in there at all. I don't even understand what it is. And again, I'm not mad at Clubhouse, the owners. They for whatever reason that's their business. They have to do what they have to do. So I want to thank the owners of Clubhouse and the team. I know a lot of folks may be upset with the changes, but look, it's their decision, and we were just there coasting and enjoying the ride. So I want to thank the owners of Clubhouse for allowing the opportunity to have the experiences that I had over the past 2.5+ years. I want to thank the community in the Finance Club, originally the Finance Club, and then it was the Dr. Finance Masterclass Club, for being here and all your support. I want to thank Sharon Lecter for introducing me to the app in the first place. And I look forward to seeing everyone on future masterclasses. I will be bringing it back. We're gonna do it differently. Right now there's no audio tool out there that had what Clubhouse had. I wish there was, and I wish there was a way. And I would only go back there if there was a way to monetize it in the proper way, because it's only fair. It's only fair to creators, folks. To bring such value, you got to be rewarded, and I think it's respectful for the creators of any kind of app at this point to create something like that. You have to find a way to reward your creators. So with that said, stay tuned, folks. I want to see all of the members who used to attend regularly every Friday. Come on back. Whenever I get this thing straightened out, whenever I figure out the exact platform, probably YouTube or my Facebook Live, I want to see you guys come back. It won't be the same format because Clubhouse had the proper strategy. They had, the proper platform. That was the best design, in my opinion, of any of them out there. You can bring people up the stage easily. So therefore, people in the audience, I might not be able to bring you up the stage, but at least having you there, and we'll have some kind of chat going on. It will start the fire back and get everyone reconnected. So stay tuned. And for the meantime, just let's comment and like each other's posts. Do what we can here on social media to stay close and connected, folks. That's what it's all about, connecting one person at a time. So thanks again, folks, and we'll keep you posted on the future video. Thanks again. Bye-bye now. Dr. Finance.